awaken your creativity. I'm Dr. Princess Iyase-Odozi, and so far we're listening to Diokpa Iyase-Odozi talking on sensitive issue, ethical standards and ethical codes in the visual art. So today we are going to look into the area of ethical dilemma in the visual art. So please come with me. Please tell us what ethical dilemmas are in the visual art, for example.
Ethical dilemmas generally are real life boundaries, by which I mean problems you face in everyday life, whether you are just an individual, a professional, or even organizations, where you're confronted with making a decision that involves two or more options, each of which carries a cost. It means that either way, any decision you take will carry a cost. And this exists in the life of an artist. And in some cases, the life of every other professional. Take the issue of paying commissions. In fact, commissions there is a euphemism for paying bribes. And in this sort of environment, in every area, you find this happening. Why is it a dilemma? You may be committed to the ideal that you will not pay commission or pay bribe for getting a contract which you are competent to execute. But the risk is that if you do not pay, you do not get a contract. And the greater challenge is that there are others, competitors, who are prepared to pay the commission or pay the bribe. So what do? The matter is even more confounded. You can take a personal decision. I will not pay the bribe, I will not take the contract. What if you are part of a body, a professional body that is bidding for a certain contract, and the body is required to pay a commission or to pay a bribe? And for instance, you are the president of the professional body. Majority of the people say, well, we're cash strapped, we're in need of this contract, we must execute it, so let us pay. Would you want to stop the organization from paying the commission and getting the contract, knowing that if you did that, in fact, the organization will not have the money to maintain its facilities and it will run down? In other words, would you want to impose your moral value on the organization? It's a dilemma, because if you agree that you pay the commission, you would have violated one of your principles. If you stand in the way of the organization, pay to get a contract, you would have stopped them from making progress, and also, in fact, they might sack some of the staff because there is no money to pay them. You have a customer of yours who gives you a contract to do a portrait of him. You have agreed on the price, you've agreed on the delivery time, you've agreed on the standard. You paid an advance payment, delivery for 6 months. You're not able to do that It's not because unethical, but for valid reasons. Some of the materials that you are to use, which were costed at a certain price before the contract. 2 months into the contract, the prices have tripled, and this is a real life situation. Like the exchange rates have depreciated, the items are imported, and if you have to pay the price, the cost, and still do the job at that rate, especially if you don't have any provision for a markup, adjustment of the price. If you decide to meet the terms of the contract, you take a loss. If you decide not to meet the terms of the contract, you damage your reputation. So what do we do? I think later on we have to decide on how should an artist, a professional, confronted with such a situation, act. This is something where I intend to provide guidance later during our discussion. There's a relationship between an artist and a gallery, for instance, what we call the ArtistCraftsman Dilemma. You are a competent professional. Now, the gallery insists that you should do certain works and make copies, in a way that is revolting to you. Because if you yield to the pressure of the gallery, you gravitate from being an artist to being a craftsman, a commercial artist. What would you do? If you call the bluff of the gallery, you go without, you have staff to pay, you have costs to meet and all that. And if you decide to submit tamely, like a pusillanimous prig, to the pressure of the gallery, you will have become just a mere craftsman and a commercial artist. So what do you do in that? You also have situations that happen where artists use assistants in their works. The final product comes out so beautiful, but you have so many people that have made contributions to that final outcome. What credit, what acknowledgement do you give to the lesser people, the assistants who participated in the work? Or you have the case of a teacher, a lecturer, who organizes students to do a lot of works for him, and then he has an exhibition, and the exhibition is in his name, and there is no acknowledgement to all the students who have played critical roles for him. This is a matter of ethics and ethical dilemma. This is an important example. You have an exhibition by another artist. Now you have other artists go there and they are soliciting for patronage at another artist's exhibition. Where do you draw the line between genuine soliciting, just introduction of what you're doing, and taking the opportunity of another person's exhibition to promote your own work, maybe in poster competition against a fellow artist. You mentioned exhibitions. One phenomenon, one practice that raises the issue of ethical dilemmas is the recycling of works by the artist. The artist is expected to continue to challenge himself or herself by doing work in the gallery, studio work, and all that. Continuous growth and development. Is it right for the artist to continue to recycle works that have been done many years previously? And some people may not have seen, I think that it's a new work, a new reproduction, and all that. Well, that's a matter of ethics, really. It's debatable. Another ethical issue is where we begin to define what is the appropriate standard of conduct for an artist, in the sense that you have certain beliefs, certain values in terms of standards of dressing, standards of behavior, and all that. You may have an artist that is so gifted, so talented, and produces excellent works, but he lives such a disorderly life in the sense that he's a drunkard, a womanizer, and all that, really. How do we set the line between the adoption of generally accepted standards of behavior, conduct, and also trying to ensure that we don't undermine the creative expression of the artist?
Indeed.
It's a very delicate line, really.
Indeed, visual artists are listening. Thank you so much, Sai. I know you have so many points which will be very useful to us visual artists. And for those who really want to know more, we have an article written by Diokpa in this 250-page art journal titled Benin Iconography. It's an art journal by Greenhouse Art Center. And thank you so much. You touched very vital issues. The aspect of acknowledgement. I think we really have a lot more to do there, we artists, to acknowledge everyone that made our exhibition a success, or the works we are presenting to the public as our works. There are others who made it possible. So we need to learn to acknowledge these people. And the area of exhibitions, you canvassing for yours. I'm not reiterating all you've said, but I hope you will endeavor to lay your hand on this article written by Diokpa so that you really, the full worth of these ethical issues. Because it reminds me again when you spoke about ethical issues, situational ethics, that's a very important one, and I want us to talk some other time. I deeply appreciate this. So remain good because we have not finished. There are still so many to discuss, but we will give you as brief as possible very vital aspects. Thank you.